Okay, I'm going to say this one right away, letting everybody know, as we pointed out last night, they better not lose this game to the Utah Jazz. Welcome to the PHLY
That's
Sixers
the energy we're starting
pregame
with.
show,
You
live from the Xfinity studio. Along with Kyle, I'm Devon Breeze, the president of basketball operations. Great to see all of you in here as we get things started with the Utah Jazz in town. Second night of a back-to-back for the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll get to our predictions later on. We will discuss Ace Bailey and the Jazz a little more in depth a little bit later. And certainly, how do they respond from last night and that terrible, terrible game that we saw against the San Antonio Spurs. But tonight, Kyle, as we were a little curious about, what's up with VJ Edgecombe? As you pointed out last night during the post-game show, no update. They needed the MRI. And as of earlier today, they got the MRI. You reported that as the Sixers also let some stuff out, but you reported that he has a lumbar contusion, VJ
Yes.
Edgecombe, and he will be out tonight.
It's a fancy way of saying bruised behind.
He's got a bruise
to some extent.
Yeah.
So I would say this. It's good news in the sense that there was nothing broken.
Mm-hmm.
It's good news in the sense that the timeline that they gave us, it's only one game, and then let's see. We'll see how he feels, how he recovers from this.
And the next game is not until Saturday.
Yes, so the benefit in this instance of a back-to-back is because he's missing it, now he gets a block of time here to just rest, recover, put some ice on it, maybe get like an ice seat to sit on it at home or on the bench or in the box, wherever he might be watching this game from tonight. So you avoid a more serious issue, but obviously you got to be careful with it. It's not don't want to take it too lightly. The immediate repercussion for the Sixers is that, boy, they got nobody available tonight. It is Tyrese Maxey and a prayer, essentially. And after VJ missed that initial stretch of games in the fall where he's dealing with calf tightness and the organization used an abundance of caution because of obvious reasons. There have been some recent Achilles injuries right after guys were suffering calf tightness. That's something that's being looked at around the league. They gave him a few days off. He has been available constantly, has not really dealt with many bumps, bruises, lingering injuries. We've looked at him and said, hey, he might be a little bit tired. We've looked at him and we've said, hey, are there times when he looks like he's hitting the rookie wall? Certainly. But he's been out there every night, and he has provided a real second option next to Maxey in the backcourt when he gets trapped or they try to play some exotic coverages against him. That ain't there tonight. So that responsibility more than likely falls to Quentin Grimes. We're probably going to see some more of campaign. It's not impossible that you might see Coach Lowry suit up and maybe you can give him
the team,
10 minutes out there, whatever it might be. So I don't know what the exact repercussions will be for tonight. I was pleased to learn, for his sake and the team's, that it appears to be minor and this is a little bit precautionary versus any kind of serious injury.
Yeah, so I do like that part, that he does get the extended time off with the second half last night. Going to get checked out, get the MRI, get the results today. Having Wednesday, Thursday, travel day Friday, they play Atlanta on Saturday night. I do like the fact that he gets a little bit more rest just to see how he feels. If he's unable to go on Saturday, maybe that's okay too, because then their next game is against the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland on Monday. So that will be in 5 days? That would be 4 or 5 days overall that he would have off to see how he runs, what his gait feels like overall as he's moving. He sprints, he's athletic. He has to contort his body a lot of different ways, offensively and defensively, to defend those players. So how does he respond to all of that? So that is encouraging that's there. Being responsible, getting him some time off. So now with that, we go from here to, you mentioned Kyle Lowry, potentially. Who knows, Coach Lowry?
I
campaign.
Listen, all due respect to
I know.
Kyle Lowry's career, I hope he doesn't play tonight. I hope the rest of these guys can
Quentin
give
Grimes, campaign. We didn't really get a chance to see enough of Tyrese Martin just because we had gotten ready to start the show early, but I would like to maybe see Tyrese Martin out there on the floor. So who steps up in the absence now? Your candidates, those three, maybe someone else.
Well, I don't know if we want to go to starters this early.
Yeah, let's
go
early.
One big change coming into tonight, Adem Bona is starting over Andre Drummond, which you guys, anybody who watched the post-game show last night knows how I felt about his performance. Devon certainly backed me up in terms of what we saw Andre versus Victor Wembanyama. And so Nick Nurse is going with the guy who's playing better, the younger option. And so maybe you can get into some more dynamic pick and roll stuff with Maxey and Bona. I think the most encouraging thing that we've seen from Bona, and by the way, Trendon Watford's starting as well tonight, which is a
we always get he always gets lost in our conversation
yes.
of guys stepping up, get these extra minutes and all that. But to your point, yes, we'll get to him shortly. But the Bona piece,
so Bona, there are a couple different
especially against
elements
this Jazz group,
against this Jazz team, but Quentin Grimes is someone he's had obvious chemistry with. They've played well against some second units lately. Are they able to do that against? It's obviously not really the starting group for Utah, but the starting group that they have available. Can Maxey develop some more chemistry with him? And if they trap Maxey, which I would guess is going to happen constantly if they're attempting to win tonight, that's going to put Bona in potential 4-on-3 situations. Early in his career, which is to say last year, or even the start of this year, I would have been very skittish about Adem catching the ball around the free throw line and needing to make a decision. But I think he's done a good job of playing at the exact speed he needs to recently.
Yeah.
Making the extra pass when he has to, understanding like sometimes it's just one step and a dunk. Sometimes it's not moving at all, going straight up. So what dynamic does he bring? And then the Watford stuff, I will say I'm not super pleased to see him starting in a group where they don't have enough shooting.
I thought it would be Edwards.
Yeah, and look, Justin has done nothing to deserve starting opportunities either, so I don't want to make it seem like, boy, Nurse is crazy for throwing Watford out there. I don't like the spacing and the shooting in the lineup they have out there. Now, that being said, Watford gives them a little bit extra playmaking, a guy who can get his own off the dribble. He's somebody that if they throw a smaller matchup at him, he's shown he's willing and able to go down to the block, score on a post up and pass out of there, make some plays there. So the lineup changes, we'll see if they have any impact. We'll see, frankly, how Andre Drummond responds to being demoted over the younger guy.
Because 5 minutes last night. I mean, 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Whew,
here's my question.
3 fouls.
Will Nurse play him at all? Like, is there a possibility that he just says, I'm playing Jabari Walker, Dominic Barlow?
When you look at the Jazz personnel, you can get away with Barlow as well. Even though Kyle Filipowski can bang on the low block and they have another young center behind him, you can get away with going small Jabari Walker in this case also, yes. I think.
Yeah. So it's an interesting group, and that's where you start. Davon is coming in with the super chat, says that starting five has a shooter and a possible brutal. And I agree. That's like, so Quentin Grimes, super inconsistent. He was horrible and kind of flew under the radar for us last night.
He's number 2 tonight, man.
But he's the second best shooter of that group, and everybody else is just kind of fighting for scraps underneath the basket. You're going to have to try to get stops and get out on the break, get into early offense, because if you can get this into a half-court game, if you're Utah, I would feel pretty confident if I were them, even with the group that they have, that you could manufacture some stops, sit in a zone, make the Sixers, between Barlow, Bona, I don't think will take a 3, but I could be proven wrong on that one. Barlow, Watford, and then Grimes' streakiness. I would not trust those guys to make shots. So we always have to come back to, though, Devon, the effort's got to be there.
It has to be.
Has to be there. And one thing you give San Antonio credit for, yes, they came in with way more talent in last night's game. They also came in with a chip on their shoulder after the loss to the Knicks. They had been on a long win streak. You get humbled a little bit. And they said, next game, we're coming out and we are playing. Like when they were up by 35 and 40 points, their starters and their high-level rotation guys are still playing really hard, getting up and down the floor. Devin Vassell's killing them.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely killing them.
Let up.
So you need to show the level of killer instinct that the Spurs did on your home floor the night prior. You do that, I still think they can win this game. I think it's crazy that they've basically been 8.5-point favorites all day after having watched them play last night. But Utah clearly not exactly the peak Harlem Globetrotters right now.
No, they are not. And although, as Kyle pointed that out, and we'll talk about them a little more extensively later, especially when we speak about Ace Bailey, but they gave the Denver Nuggets a run the other night. I watched that entire game, and it was a fun back and forth game. Then I checked in on the DNVR Nuggets guys to see how they were talking about. They were ticked off at how they played. Mm-hmm. But you give credit to the Jazz for playing the way that they did, knowing where their season are, obviously understanding where their organization is going, of how they're approaching things. Their players keep their foot on the gas that are out there on the floor. And to your point about the San Antonio Spurs, which we've gotten on, and I don't have any illusions that the Sixers are the Spurs. I think the Sixers should be a playoff team. We've talked about how they should be a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference, but we don't think that they are on the level of the San Antonio Spurs. And that's where my point is going here, which is, as you laid out, after their loss on Sunday, they come back. They didn't play down to their competition. Mm-hmm. Without Joel Embiid and Kelly Oubre in the lineup, and then with VJ Edgecombe going down at halftime, they did not let up. Where we often talk about the Sixers, why are you doing this against Team X, the Washington Wizards, or whomever, the New Orleans Pelicans? Why are you doing this? And it happens in the 82-game schedule. But their mindset was, we are going to come out here. It's not about them, the Sixers. It's about us. And that's what we like to see. So when you're playing the Jazz tonight, if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you got blown out last night and it was bad. But now you wash that away. You get back out there on this floor and you play the Utah Jazz knowing that even with this lineup tonight, you should still beat this basketball team. That is the Utah Jazz. Keontae George is a fantastic young player. He is really fun. Ace Bailey, top 5 pick. As we know, they have other pieces. Kyle Filipowski, Bryce Sensabaugh. They have players. Cody Williams is a lottery pick as well. They have players on their roster that should be pretty darn good.
Collier's had some big assist games lately off the bench. Like they have some guys.
They have some talent. But you, starting with Maxey, should still beat this basketball team tonight. So on the other side, how do you respond? What do you have left as you talk about the standard and the pride of who you are? What do you have left to respond after what happens last night? We get into a little bit more of that, talk about Ace Bailey's rookie season and the Jazz, and our predictions a little bit later. It's the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Sixers now 33-28 on the season. Let me check over. Yep, 33-28 on the season. This one, as we look at this week.
Oh, I leaned the wrong way.
You got to win this game tonight, everybody. Thank you for checking 33-28. Got to win this game. Make it 34-28. We'll dive into it more right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show.
Guys, next up, we want to tell you about Xfinity, specifically their 5-year price guarantee. What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep that Wi-Fi at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and it's Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, and dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
All right, family, listen. You ever having one of those days? No. Sorry. Those weeks like we do here. 4 games a week. Food is a priority. It's our fuel, and we forget to pack certain things. That's where the great people at Wawa comes into play. Wawa now has $5 deals all day, and honestly, it just makes life easier. How about starting in the early morning where we have maybe a meeting, you're running behind, you can grab the $5 big breakfast meal deal where we're talking about a sizzly, any sizzly, maybe croissant, sausage, and egg and cheese, whatever you may like, hash brown, and any size hot or iced coffee that's a full morning with $5 just in your pocket, available from 5 to 11 all day. Then later in the day, the value keeps rolling. Roasted chicken or crispy chicken sandwich created your way, $5. And they even have the new teriyaki sauce as well. So start your day strong. Fuel up whenever you need with Wawa $5 deals. Limited time. Exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. Gotta have a Wawa. Back here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Kyle, Devon, Bree, all of you, thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you check out allphly.com after the game, of course, for Kyle's instant reactions to the game. Sign up at allphly.com if you have not. For all the great stories, free agency about to get underway in the NFL. So the Eagles guys have you covered. And on the hockey side, the trade deadline, where Charlie is just knocking out all kinds of stories there. On the basketball side, Kyle and Derek. And then on the Phillies, you're going to have Corey Seidman, maybe some others writing about the Phillies. That's all at allphly.com. Go sign up to become a diehard member right now. Hit the like and subscribe button while you're in here. Tell a friend and tell another friend. Leave a comment as well to vent about your 76ers there in the comment section. All right, let's get to how do they respond tonight, Kyle? We just laid out all the players that are available. We looked at the starting lineup and what they do.
Which is not that hard to do, by the way.
But with it, strategically, is it strategically or is it just simply, like you said, come out there and just give a better effort, and that's the start, and then you go from there?
It has to start with the effort.
Yeah.
And it has to start with the 1-2. Whether they make any changes is another story. We talked a lot last night. When I say talk, I mean I yelled at you. Not you, but just in the general direction of you about their strategy or lack thereof. I'd be stunned if Nick Nurse decided, dude, you know what? Now's the time we're going to stop over helping off of shooters. And I think that's going to help out the Jazz tonight because they have some guys that their main thing is just they're not going to take you off the dribble. They're not going to get downhill quite a bit, but they will make some open threes. So we'll see how that plays out tonight. I think what you have to come into the game knowing is that Utah can and will throw the kitchen sink at Tyrese Maxey. Like there's no reason if you're Utah or any other team that would be coming in tonight for that matter to do anything other than force the ball out of his hands. One, he's the top weapon. Two, they have not shown, even with a healthier roster, that they've been able to do a good job of reacting to doubles and traps, like getting to the right spots, attacking the space once they're able to get the ball from Maxey. Where do you go, frankly, when a guy gets trapped? Like if it's this side of the floor, that side of the floor, in the middle, where are your spots on the floor, your spacing versus that type of coverage, where you need to go? So I want to see how they respond in that way tonight, as much as I want to see, like, you know, what does Trendon Watford look like? What does Adem Bona do, et cetera? So those are the basic details of how you execute out of that. I think they've been poor on lately. And that's with having Edgecombe out there where he's someone you trust as a decision maker, and I think is very smart for a rookie. You put Quentin Grimes in that spot. You put some of these other guys in that spot. I'm dubious that they're going to execute well. The other thing will be, you know, based on how much Campaign plays, and I would expect he plays a good bit tonight, how much are you able to get Maxey off the ball, run him off some pin downs, run him on some Iverson cuts, get him the ball when he's already moving. And that way it's not all just, hey, spread it out, put Tyrese Maxey against somebody and go 1v1, because he can beat a lot of these guys on the Jazz if they give him that, but they're going to try to deny as much as they can. So see what you can do in order to get him rolling without him having the ball in his hands.
Gene says Sixers by 40 tonight against the Jazz, following up their 40-point loss last night to the San Antonio
40 what?
Spurs. Yeah, 40 what?
40 milliseconds on a game winner.
40 milliseconds. I look at this one and obviously it starts with the effort, and then it goes to Maxey naturally. This is kind of like, and I'm kidding in a way, but I'm also not kidding because this looks more like the roster that Quentin Grimes was with last season when he was really going into I want to get paid mode for the summer. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that Tyrese Maxey is next to him, everyone else. So him in this elevated role where we continue to say, what are we going to see from Quentin Grimes? Now, we had those three games where we looked at him and said, he's playing pretty well. He had those games, helped him win. They desperately need him tonight to be in the high teens, if not the low 20s, to be the running mate alongside of Tyrese Maxey in order for them to win. Because, as Kyle pointed out, they are going to run those traps. They're going to blitz Tyrese Maxey to get the ball out of his hands. And he is the only one that we have the most confidence in. If we have to have a confidence level per game, and in this particular game, he is number 2 offensively as the one that you can trust, he must have a big offensive night in order for this team to win. Because while we have seen from time to time with Trenton Watford will have you close to flirting with the triple-double or just having a double-digit game with some either rebounding and assists or somewhere 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and doing those things, the gravity that will come to him, he is more that's the 2-point variety and not much from behind the 3-point line. So you're going to get 14 points, 4 and 4 from him. Okay, that's a good night, but the type of night that I think you need next to Tyrese Maxey tonight is going to be in the hands of Quentin Grimes. So I believe that he really needs to have a big game. So when we talk about how do you respond as a team, I think it really, I'm looking at him. How do you respond? Because you were in the 3rd offensive option role last night with Kelly Oubre out. Now VJ Edgecombe is out, so you're back up to where you were a season ago, and you thrived in that role. What's the difference? What is the difference? You're playing the similar type of team, the Utah Jazz, and the other 3 players next to you and Maxey are bench players that you look at and say, hey, we are the offensive guys. We look at each other and say, let's go nuts.
Yep.
Let's go crazy. And that's what they need to do tonight. So let's see how he responds with his job as the number 2 option next to Tyrese Maxey tonight. I'm very curious to see that. And then the bench, Campaign, Justin Edwards, whoever the center is, Jabari Walker, Andre Drummond. And then if it goes deeper to Tyrese Martin, Dalen Terry, what do they have against this Utah Jazz bench? Those guys know their role. They've been doing it all season long.
Yep.
What are you going to do with those extra minutes that you have now because of the opportunity that's presented to you? That's where I am with how they need to respond to this one. Let's talk about Ace Bailey and the Jazz.
I was going to say, I really do wish. It is a shame. I was looking forward to this game from the moment they announced it because of all the discussion we had on the show, all the hubbub about the canceled workout for Ace and, what was going on. And then we had the initial summer league game where VJ went crazy, and it felt like, you're planting the seeds for this is going to be an interesting one to watch over the long term. And, even how would the fans react to Ace Bailey coming here after the workout stuff? And then you make the fans so mad and apathetic about the team lately that there is just negative juice for this game right now. But we get to see Ace Bailey in Philadelphia for the first time. So, how much have you watched of Utah recently? I know you talked to me a little bit about games that you've seen of theirs. And, what have you made of Ace so far during his rookie year?
You start off with where we were doing our rookie watch, and Ace Bailey wasn't even a part of it. He was a part of it because we talked about the prominent names, and he wasn't doing anything. He started off the beginning of his career in October. He was averaging 4.4 points. He missed some games due to injury, but when he came back, he was getting, right around mid-teens to the low 20s as far as his minutes go. Then it started to jump in November, and you could see where all the things that we talked about that he is good at with that size, the ball handling, the questions that we have, can he play within a system that the way that you want him to? And that's where you've seen with this coaching staff led by Will Hardy, who we've talked about and given him praise to the head coach, the young coach that he is in the league. He is buying into what Will Hardy has preached. They're a bad team, so you look at it, and by all accounts, he wanted to go to a spot where he can make mistakes, get his shots off. Well, he went to a young team where he can go make mistakes, but it's not at the level of what he thought he would get with the Washington Wizards, where he can take any shot that he wants, because that is not the case. And I think that he landed in the right spot. So watching these games as of late, seeing him play within the structure, hitting the glass, rebounding, not all these and one bang, bang, bang dribbles that you would see at Rutgers. He is, all right, it's not there. The ball is popping. It's now swinging to the next man. Move, cut, set screens, find that open spot where maybe Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, some of the other players that he was with earlier, Lowry Markkinen, can find him for some of those, maybe some push shots, some dunks, some layups, and the three-point shooting, which has not been great, but he has had moments like in December, he shot 36%. January, he shot 33%. But the consistency that you're seeing with the growth of his game, February, not great, 28%. But I like what I see from him in Will Hardy's system where it's the buy-in.
And we said right away, I think that was a
buy-in.
coach that would coax some of the better stuff out of him that we liked. I'll give you a stat, and I would not have predicted this. Maybe I would have predicted this knowing he's going to Utah. 52% of his total shot attempts have 0 dribbles before them. That is obviously a lot different than what we saw at Rutgers.
Not the end one.
And I think the question was, where does he go? And does that coaching staff, does that team ask him to do the stuff that did at Rutgers, which was clearly a little bit too much for him? Or do they bring him along slowly? You take advantage of the shot making, take advantage of the off-ball cutting, his size as a cutting target, right? Where he's 6'8", and you're throwing the ball on a back cut. He's going to be able to dunk on people, have him run the floor. He's done all that, and he bought it. Like, I give him a lot of credit. He went there, and he did all that stuff basically from day one. Now, again, as you brought up, the results have not necessarily been there for the year. It's been uneven, up and down. I think he's shooting like 33.5% from 3. So there are these peaks and valleys there. Yep. Defensively, he's a mess, but he's a rookie. Like, that comes with the territory. Getting guys who are good on the defensive end as rookies is borderline impossible. I think if there's an area that I would say I've been disappointed when I've watched him play, it's the rebounding. Like, he's only getting about 4 boards a game.
But then he'll have nights where he has 8.
Yeah,
he has 7.
It hasn't been there
not consistent.
as consistently as that should be. And that's one where, like, I look at him and I say, I'll live with the shot being up and down. We all said, even with skepticism around Ace, we believe in the shot making. Like, he will be a shooter. It'll take some time to find his level and whatnot, but that's something that I think he can be really, 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 really good there, regardless of the college stats. I need him to rebound more. That's a thing that just, like, put your hard hat on, use that size, use that athleticism. But I think he's done a good job of figuring out where his role is now. I think the interesting thing is next year, where is he in that ecosystem? Because this has been a weird year. You were right. He started off slow, then he's injured, and now he's playing 30 minutes a night pretty consistently because they're trying to lose games, and so they're sitting Markkanen, they're sitting Jaren Jackson after trading for him. Those guys come back, and presumably you get a high pick. Like,
and maybe Kessler.
How does his role change? Does it change at all? Do they continue to just use him as more of a spot-up guy? I don't know, but he's put some really good games on the table lately. I think they had a game against the Spurs end of January where I think he scored 25 or something like that and was like 12 of 15 or 11 of 16
really
or something like that. So he's had some of those games. I still don't love that he can't get to the rim. I still don't love that he doesn't get to the free throw line, at least on the ball. Cutting, I still like him a lot. So I would have loved the theater of the first NBA VJ Ace game, but I'm still intrigued to watch him tonight because he's going to get a lot of touches and a lot of minutes.
So just hypothetically, let's say they get AJ DeBonsa, right? And your front line is DeBonsa with Lowry, Markkanen, and you have Jaren Jackson Jr., Kessler, who knows? But do you go Ace big guard as the 2 and have him next to Keontae George?
I think, but I don't know that I would have anyone on that team that I'm like, you got to start them at the 2. It just becomes a weird.
Because he is the option, in my opinion, if you go Keontae George and then those other 3 big guys, it's him because I don't think you have DeBonsa with Lowry, Markkanen, and Walker Kessler. That's your 5. I think you break it up to have a more normal, if you will, shooting guard.
Peterson is a better pick for him, I think, because he slots right into that 2-guard role. You leave him in the spot that he's in. He starts next to Markkanen and Jackson. Once you take, if it's either DeBonsa or potentially Boozer, depending on where you're at in the order or where you're at on the prospects, then it gets a lot murkier.
Yeah, so interesting. Ace Bailey tonight. First time we get to see him in Philadelphia against the Sixers. And should be an interesting one as we continue to scout Ace Bailey, even though you have VJ Edgecombe. Very intrigued to see how he plays tonight. First time here in Philadelphia. All right, that'll do it for us. Predictions? Better win.
You better win.
Win.
That ain't a prediction, but you better win.
That's it. We'll be back 10 minutes after the game goes final. Everyone, we hope to see you here, and we hope to see The Sixers pick up a W against this Utah Jazz team. I'm saying it right now. I think it's going to be a close one because they are feisty and they have talent led by Keontae George. So 10 minutes after the game goes final, we'll see you right back here for the game. For Kyle and Bree, I'm Devon. We will see you post-game right here. Sixers Jazz should be a fun one. Enjoy.
We all silly like the mayor.